All right, we're live. This is Paul DeWarian with Awesome Dynamic. This is the Awesome Dynamic Show, also known as the Awesome Dynamic Webinar. Today we have special guest Paul Fiorelli, who either him or someone from his staff will definitely be joining us from Fiorelli Graphics and Printing in Libertyville. Paul, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Hi there. Hey, Jeff Paul. Hey, Terry. Hey, Robin. And who else do I have there? Hold on.
Blake.
Hi, Blake. I didn't see
Hola,
it.
mi amigos.
So, as we normally do, we do introductions real quick. So I know, Paul, you kind of ran through the list here, but Terry, Robin, Blake, in that order, do you want to introduce yourselves and what you do real quick?
Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Terry Levin, Director of Sales at Awesome Dynamic. Glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Robin. I do search engine optimization.
And my name is Sir Blake Tintori, and I'm SEO assistant and then also an Amazon assistant for Paul and Robin.
Blake, I had no idea that you had been knighted.
Yeah, I have. It's been nice.
Okay.
And I just got a pro seller account too.
So I'd love to see your certificate from the Queen.
Okay.
So, yeah, on our webinar, just to quickly go through the different things that Awesome Dynamic does, and we'll also take a look at what Paul Fiorelli does as well over at Fiorelli Graphics. But I'm going to share my screen briefly, and then Blake, please help me with knowing who's on. Let me see if I can force my screen to share here. All right. So if you head over to awesomedynamic.com, many of you that are on here probably went there just to join this webinar, but just briefly to tell you what we do, we create responsive web designs, meaning mobile websites. We do search engine optimization, essentially getting your business found on Google. We help sell your product on Amazon to get your product seen by millions. And we do the Google Maps Street View, which is essentially a virtual tour of your business on Google. As you are aware, here's the upcoming free webinars. Next week is 3 o'clock, and the following week is 12:30. That's on the 4th and the 11th, respectively. If you want to watch any of our past webinars or see in the different notes, we have the Watch Past Webinars here. That brings you to the Awesome Dynamic Academy, and that's where we post these with show notes. So any sort of resources that we go over are posted right underneath the past webinars here. You can go ahead and see the entire webinar video, any of our past webinars here, and get to any of the resources that we spoke about during that webinar. And if we do highlight your business during our webinar, we'll definitely get you a backlink to your website, which will help you with your search engine optimization. This is posted on our Awesome Dynamic Academy website, which is a very close to completion product that we have. Helps you do SEO on your own for a very low monthly fee of $50 a month. And you can see there's a whole bunch of different lessons that you can go through to learn how to do all this on your own rather than engaging with us for one-on-one work. But, of course, we do the one-on-one, which is what our specialty is. Blake's notifying me that Fiorelli's screen is in focus, so you're all looking at Paul Fiorelli while I'm talking about our different webinars. Now, let me see if I can adjust the settings here. The thing is, with the Google Hangouts here, sometimes the camera focus is a little bit tough to control in Hangouts on here.
Want me to duck, Paul?
No, you're fine. I've just turned off your video. Let's see. We're going to turn off this one. And it looks like I can't turn off that one. Oh, that's not letting me control it like it normally does. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We like to not have that issue. All right, so I should be the only one in focus. Blake, if you can confirm, that'd be great. Going back to the screen that I was sharing here. Let me force that into focus. So I was talking about the Awesome Dynamic Academy. Again, this is a do-it-yourself product that we have. But, of course, our specialty is in actually consulting with you to teach you how to do it one-on-one, or it is to do it full service, so this way you get found online. Paul Fiorelli, I'm going to head over to your website really quick here. Yes, there are two Pauls on the line. There's Paul Fiorelli and Paul DeWarian. Paul DeWarian is with Awesome Dynamic. Paul Fiorelli is with Fiorelli Graphics and Printing. Paul, would you like to quickly tell us your specialty?
Well, sure. Actually, we're unique in the sense that we're one of the very few design and print shops. And when I say design and print shops, graphic design, Fiorelli Graphics was established over 30 years ago. And I was basically doing nothing other than doing the creative end of graphics for the print industry. I bought a printing company 20 years ago, And about 6 years ago, we merged them both under one roof to really offer a truly design studio along with a digital print house. We offer things from logo design through multiple marketing materials for your business, as well as website design. I don't know if you're aware, but about 6 years ago, I partnered with Awesome Dynamics simply because as a designer, we create the image that you see on a website, but there's another part to it, which is the back end, the development end, and that's something that I wasn't experienced with and really didn't want to get into the writing of the code. I met Paul, and from that point on, we basically partnered our two businesses where I've used the analogy that we are the custom designer, much like an architect, but the architect isn't the one that actually swings the hammer, pours the foundation, runs the electrical and the conduit, which is what Paul does. So it's worked out quite well. So if I can be of any assistance to anybody in regards to their graphic design or their layout or their printing questions, I'm happy to do so.
Great. Thank you, Paul, for that introduction and sharing and being with us for the webinar today. I really appreciate that. Just so for those visitors that are here, the point of this webinar is for us to answer your questions about anything to do with your online presence. Paul, checking your hair there, Paul?
Sticking, yeah, there's something sticking up here.
All right, let me shut your video off.
Yeah, that looks more likely.
There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and present me. So the point of this webinar is to help you with your online presence. So if that's helping you get in front of your competitors, why am I not showing up #1 for the different key terms that I want to show up for? What can I do to improve my presence online? What different aspects of my website can I improve upon to compel people to actually contact me from my website? All those questions are great questions, and we'll take a look at your specific situation and see if we can give you some specific advice as something you can take away from this webinar to benefit your destiny online. So there is a question answer portion of this, and we try and make that the majority of this webinar. If you're logged in with a Google account to this webinar, you'll have a Q&A box. It's a little blue box, and it has a Q&A in it. If you click on that, it opens up a panel on the right side of your screen, and on the right side of your screen, you'll see a green button that says Ask a Question. All you got to do is click that button, ask your question, and then we'll be able to see that. As I see those come through, I'll click the little star next to your question and acknowledge that we see the question. And when it's appropriate, we'll get to your information. We'll share our screen, take a look at your website, take a look at your Google presence, and see what we could do to give you some advice to help yourself online. That being said, since Paul Fiorelli, you're with us today, wanted to see if you had any ideas or topics you wanted to bring up, because we just recently taught you about the whole idea of citations. See if you had any questions about that we could help you with for Fiorelli Graphics and Printing.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just learned about citations last week from Paul, and we're beginning to clean up our files. The words citation, I had no idea what it meant. But I also realized that, and I mentioned earlier that Fiorelli Graphics was established 30 years ago. When I first got my first website, I was in a different location, different address, different phone number. When I bought Heritage Press, that was a separate business. Once again, it was owned by me, but it was a different address and a different phone number. And when I merged the two of them, I didn't realize how often the names of my two businesses were used out on the internet: Fiorelli Graphics and Printing, Heritage Press Inc., Fiorelli Graphics. So all of these multiple names, they had different versions, per se, of what my business was about. Some said just graphics, some said printing, some said graphics and printing, and I guess it could be very confusing, but I didn't realize how much all of these different ways my business was treated was affecting my SEO. So Paul explained to me the consistency that I needed to go through in order to have exactly the same address, exactly the same information throughout, and then to go in and be able to upgrade these I guess, Paul, would the term be citations?
Yes, the citations or directory listings, as what other people call them, just instances of your name, address, and phone number somewhere on the internet.
I found ones that they had my name spelled wrong. So when I actually go on and Google my own company, I was coming into areas that some of the information that was being put out there was not accurate, wasn't true, and it may give people the wrong impression of what we do. They were all somewhat graphic or print related, but for the most part, they weren't consistent. So keeping that message consistent, I can see now where the benefit is. We started our citations earlier this week. It's actually going pretty smooth, and I can't underscore the benefit of that. We'll know in the next few weeks, and I'll report back to you how well that's going, and if we see a rise in our ranking. But already I see that this is a beneficial process to go through on a regular basis.
Right, and even from the standpoint of just making sure the information about your business is consistent everywhere is an important thing. Robin,
Paul, not to cut you off, didn't you mention something? I'm sorry. Didn't you mention something about other people can actually put information out about your business, and that can get out on the internet as something else you have to stay on top of? Do you understand what I'm saying? Somebody does a review, and they mention something about your business that may or may not be exactly what you do. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to let Robin chime in on that one. Robin, I saw you brought up the local search ranking factors, your third tab there, and I'll share Robin's screen here so she can kind of talk about the importance of the citations and some of the other things you should consider, like utility bills, etc. So go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, so citations, that's your NAP. So NAP is name, address, and phone number. That accounts for about 13%, this piece of the pie here. And, other things such as like, reviews in social media, those also make up smaller percentages. So basically, if you want to improve your SEO starting today, what you want to do is make all of your citations consistent. So a citation is basically like facebook.com, your name, address, and phone numbers on there. So that would be a citation. Yellowpages.com, that would be a citation. So there's hundreds of citations out there. And even if, actually there's tens of thousands out there. So even if you never have anyone find you or visit you on one of these sub-websites that you've never heard of that have your name, address, and phone number, it's still important to fill those out. Because if it's sending a signal to Google that your name, address, and phone number is consistent across the whole internet, that's going to boost you up higher on Google. Because if your competitors have all different addresses, all different phone numbers, it confuses Google. You're telling them, this is my phone number, but this is also my phone number, and I add one of these three addresses. Well, then Google's not going to understand, okay, this is where my business is, this is the phone number, this is the most recent contact information, and everything matches up. I would say if you have over 90% all matching name, address, and phone number, you're probably good on that. But to find what are these citations exactly, there's lots of ways you can find it with citation reports if you're doing SEO, but if you are on your own, you could search like the top 50 citations. And WhiteSpark does have a good citation list here. So these are 50 top citations in the United States. What you would have to do is go to all of these websites, sign up for an account, and I would suggest using a spam email because they're going to email you like 3 times a day. So use a spam email to sign up for the account, but use your real email when you're actually filling out the information that you want people to see. And so start with these because these are really high ranking. So these hold more weight, these citations, than other ones. So I can, let me chat that in the chat box.
Well, Robin's doing that. Just want to make mention on the left side of your screen, if you're logged in with your Google account, there's a little blue chat box. Now it should have like a little red number 1 with a white number 1 in it, a red circle with a number 1. If you click on that, you can see the chat message that Robin just sent through with the link to this. Also, if you come back and visit this webinar recording, Blake will go ahead and throw that link into the show notes of the video. I also want to make mention before Robin continues, again, if you have any specific questions about your online presence, please use that ask a question. Ask us a question. Tell us who you are, what your website is. We'd be glad to evaluate your online presence, take a look at what you have, and give you some suggestions that you can implement today to improve your presence online. And with that, Robin, I'm going to hand it back to you so you can continue talking about the citations.
Sure. So the other place, okay, so you're probably wondering, I've never gone online and entered my name, address, and phone number on any of these sites. So why is my name all around the internet? Well, there's a few sources that they look to. If you've ever signed up for example, like a phone book, they can get it from there. If you have utility bills, your electric bill, your phone bill, any kind of bills that you have, they can get your name, address, and phone number from there. If you've ever handed out a business card with your name, business name, address, and phone number, someone can take that business card information and enter it online. So really, and your state ID license. When you applied to become a business with the state, they can take it from there. So basically, there's lots of corporations out there that's all they do, is they just do data mining basically, and so um, you have to make sure that you're consistent on everything. It could even be as simple as a magazine subscription that you get to your office. If your name, address, and phone number is not consistent on those items, it could be spawning, hundreds of wrong citations on the internet, which is ranking you under your competitors on Google. So everything's kind of interrelated. And it does take a lot of time to do these citations. If I took a look at this list again, each one of these should take you about an average of 15 or 20 minutes to do. So you can multiply that times 50 and then multiply that times a few hundred. And you can see that citations is something that you have to work on each and every day. If you can do just 2 a day, that'll make a huge difference.
And Robin, pull up that pie chart again if you would. So 1 or 2 a day, so we're looking at like 15 to 40 minutes a day. But see how big that percentage is for external location signals? It's 13.6%. If you're spending that same hour a day working on, let's say, your Facebook or anything in social media, you see that it only makes a 5% impact in how you rank online. So if you're serious about trying to get found on the internet for key terms that describe what your business does, spend that time on your citations, not on your social media, and you can actually come up in the search engines for when someone's looking for what you do, and they'll click on you to go through because you're all of a sudden showing up. Not to say that Facebook isn't good. I'm just saying that if you're looking to influence your ranking and how you show up in Google, that's going to bring you a lot more traffic into your website than working on your social media. Social media is great for reaching out to people directly, but if you're curious, like, well, how do I know if my social media person or the activities I'm doing on social media is actually making an impact on the amount of traffic that's coming to your website? You can actually look at your Google Analytics and see exactly how much traffic you're getting from each source. It'll show you how much is coming from Google, Bing, and Yahoo, how much is coming from Facebook, how much of that traffic is actually coming in direct from anywhere. And Robin, I was wondering if you might pull up. You want to pull up the Awesome Dynamic Analytics or maybe Fiorelli Graphics Analytics,
Sure.
and let's do Fiorelli Graphics. See if we can pull up their analytics so Paul can see how much traffic he's getting from different sources on the internet. So you can actually see, Paul, where when people come to our website, where the hell are they coming from? We can actually look at that. Google offers a free tool called Google Analytics, and we can see where that stuff is coming from. While Robin's doing that, Terry, wanted to quickly shift over to you. I know that you said there was going to be a few different folks that were possibly coming to the webinar. Could you share with us who those folks might be, so maybe we can encourage them to share with us some of their information?
We had Pat Kapler, who's a realtor, who was looking to come on. We had Aurea Soto from ChemDry, who was looking to get some information from us as well. And lastly was Risa Weiss, who is an At Properties realtor as well. We're looking to get some information and get a feel for what their presence is like and what we can do to help them.
All right, so those folks that Terry mentioned, please let us know that you're there. Again, use that question and answer. We'd love to hear from you so we can help you with any specific questions that you have. Robin, well, first off, Robin, before we get into the analytics here, Paul, did you know that this Google Analytics could get you that level of detail?
No, I didn't. No, this is amazing.
Okay, don't hold back, Paul. This is
No.
absolutely amazing. So, Robin, go ahead and show how the analytics works here.
Sure. So the most important thing is to have the right time period. So I just went back a couple months from October to today. And just so as a side note, it runs like 2 or 3 days behind, so you won't have the most recent days. What did I click? It went away. It closed.
What's
Oh,
that?
it's down here.
Okay.
Okay. So this is basically all of your traffic, and you can pick month, week, days, even hourly to see which hours of the day are most frequent on your website. So you can see this is back in October, and then we have a peak here
Now, what would
in
cause that
November.
peak? Is this something I did or you did, or because it was
Um,
before the?
yeah, it just depends on what happened that week. So let's see, it was around Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and if you
Also,
had
want to
any
give away free
email
turkeys with every
blasts,
business card order.
um, and you can see the traffic is you have like at your peak it was 301, over here it was like 91. Okay, so we could definitely improve the traffic. You can see how many people have been on your site since October, and you can see how many page views. So this is basically how many people visited and how many pages they visited. So if each person visited an average of 2 pages, just over. But they're only staying for less than a minute, which means you need more content on your website to kind of compel people to stay on. And then if we wanted to look at where they're actually coming from, we can see down here on the left side the source. So let's go to,
Overview under acquisition would be good. There you go.
yeah, we can see that most are referrals, and we can drill down into that. And then there's organic and direct. And what does that mean? I have a blog post here. You can go to our Awesome Dynamic blog by clicking up here on awesomedynamic.com. And there's a ton of SEO blogs on here as well as Amazon blogs. So basically the difference between the 3 types of traffic, direct, organic, and referral. Direct is when someone actually types it into this like main URL bar right here. Then organic, or it could be like they bookmarked it or it's in their search history. Then organic is really where you want to be. That's where you do all the SEO, you do citations, reviews, put a lot of content on your website. This is where those top 10 spots on Google, that's where
Robin,
you want to be.
Robin, would this be where somebody would just type in like the word graphic design or print?
Exactly.
That would
Yeah.
fall into the organic category. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's usually there's some ads on the top, and then underneath the ads there is all of the results that you want to start ranking for. So for graphic design, you want to be #1 on there. That's organic. But Google also changes their algorithm quite often, twice a day. So it's really once you start doing SEO, you have to keep continuing just to make sure that you're up to date with everything. It's kind of like I would compare it to fashion. It's always so something. There's always something new. I mean, everyone's always going to be wearing some sort of clothes, but it's going to be changing. Okay, so then referral traffic is like if you send out an email blast or if you have like links from other sites or on your social media sites, you could get a lot of traffic from there, like Twitter, Facebook, that kind of stuff.
Robin, I'm going to interrupt just for a second. We actually have 3 questions. I was busy trying to mess around with the audio and video controls, and I missed the questions there. So just so those of you that are listening, we got Pat Cap had a couple items in, and Tim Hughes is on as well. So we'll get to your questions just as soon as Robin finishes the description of the 3 types of traffic. So please continue, Robin.
Yeah, and the last one I would just say is see, Google is this kind of a new thing. They have social as a separate category because they've taken it out of referral to see if your social is growing to read it more clearly. But another category would be just ads. If you do paid traffic, you want to track that as well. But where you want to be is really the organic traffic and referral as well. Yeah.
Right. So now let's take a look at that referral, Robin, real quick, because one thing that I hear a lot of business owners say, well, I'm paying this company and they're supposed to be marketing for me. What, I'm paying Yelp or I'm paying Dex Knows or I'm paying my franchise company and they're supposed to be sending stuff over. So you can go to this referral area and see, well, let's see where this traffic's coming from. And Robin, what is your initial interpretation of this?
Um, well, it looks to me as if there is a lot of spam driving some of this traffic here in big numbers. So what you want to do is you want to filter out this spam, which there's a blog post that I can put in the chat to, I got it right here, to, you just follow the steps and do that probably on a later webinar, but there's the link if you want to filter out your traffic on Google Analytics, because when you look at the traffic numbers up here, you're like, oh, I had so much traffic on this day and this day, but in reality, most of that was just spam. You can see, 25% here and 21%. So you are getting like half of your traffic is coming from spam more. So you want to take these out so you can see the real traffic of who's actually visiting your site.
And remember when Robin first hopped in there, she said that your average seconds was 51 seconds. You'll
Yes.
notice that a lot of the spam has a duration of 0 seconds. So this is actually pushing your average down as a result. So after you get rid of the spam, you can get a real picture of what's actually happening. And this analytics tool is very detailed. We can see what pages they go to. We can see how long they were on each page. I mean, you could see so much information in here, and this helps you make logical decisions on what you might want to do to proceed with your online presence and improving your website, etc. One quick story, and then I'm going to get to Pat Cap's question, is I remember my father, he's got the website Closet Organizer Systems, closetstu.com. I remember looking at his analytics, and the crown molding page had like a high bounce rate, meaning people were getting to the page and then they were at a high exit rate, and they were just leaving the website immediately. So I went to the crown, and the crown molding page doesn't exist on here anymore for good reason. I looked at the page. It was one really bad photo and like a tiny description that was not really well written. So I was like, okay, well, people are getting a bad impression when they get to that page, and they're leaving the website right away. So that was a strategic decision we made to identify, well, people are just leaving, they're getting a bad impression because they're getting this page and they're leaving the website. We need to fix this problem. So that's really taking analytics to the next level and just making strategic decisions about what's going on your website by using data to make those decisions.
Yeah, and I just want to stress that Google Analytics is free, and if you don't have an account, sign up today because it won't track your traffic if you don't have an account. So even
Right.
if you don't do anything with it right now, just go ahead and sign up for an account and connect your website so that it can at least start tracking. Then you can go back in a couple months and actually look at it.
Right. Good pro tip, Robin. Thank you. All right, so let's take a look at some of the questions here. I'm going to switch the camera back to me for a moment and flip my camera back on. All right, so we have, and I'm not looking at the camera because I'm looking at the question. I looked up on Google Map, and my business is showing up as a vacation home rentals instead of a real estate agency. I tried to change it, but I couldn't. Can you help? And then he says, my business name is Lake Homes Unlimited. So what I'm going to do, Pat, is I'm going to flip this over to Robin. Robin's going to do a little investigation on your behalf to see what we can take a look at. So, Robin, the screen's back to you.
You can do one of two ways since your question's on Google Maps. I'll start with there, but in general, you can go to gybo.com, which is get my business online, and you can go ahead and check your business. there's the link for that. But since we started with Google Maps, let's go ahead and put it in there.
It's
And
Lake Homes Unlimited.
okay, Lake Homes Unlimited. All right, and Fox Lake. All right, so you can see that it says real estate agency on here.
And he said let me look at answer questions. He said it was coming up as home rentals instead of real estate. So maybe there's a duplicate out there saying something else, but let's take a look at what
That's
he's got
very
here.
possible.
Yes.
And just
try.
for the record, Pat is a she, not a he.
Oh, sorry.
No
Sorry,
problem.
Pat. I apologize.
All right.
She might have a duplicate out there.
Yeah, so we can try looking at plus.google.com, or what's the other one? Business.
Business.
.google.com.
Well, that we'd need to log in to get into
Okay.
there, but we can just go to plus.google.com, search in there really quick.
All right.
Lake Homes
Let's go
Unlimited.
ahead, put that in there.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks.
All right. And then we have a page here. I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing, but let's see what happens when we click on it.
Let's try clicking on that one, and then we'll also go over here. Let's see if we can get to this page. All right, it says real estate agency on here as well. You definitely need to fill this out 100% to really boost your SEO. But yeah, it looks like it's correct as of right now.
So, Pat, if you email me a screen capture of where you see it says vacation homes, just send that to Paul at awesomedynamic.com. I'll open my email and make sure I'm monitoring that. Paul at awesomedynamic.com. If you send me a screen capture of what you're seeing, we'll try and find where that is. But Robin, do you want to take a look at some of the different improvements that Pat can make on this Google My Business listing?
Yeah, I would definitely start by putting your logo in here. It's unfortunately only a circle, so you have to fit your logo into there. It's 250 pixels by 250 pixels. And then here you want to do a photo that represents your business. You want to make sure that your address is consistent on your website as well with this address. I mean, including everything. If Avenue is spelled AVE with a capital A instead of spelled out Avenue, there's no period after the E. All these little things make a huge difference ranking on Google. It could be the difference of being on page 1 and the #1 result and being on page 5. Okay, so let's see.
Hey, Robin, can I offer something up?
Yeah.
And it was basically what you guys had told me, and this is out to Pat. Pat, you might find it beneficial to set up a separate document that has your company name, your address, your phone number, all the important information regarding your business, even a brief description of it. So when you find, and you're doing your own citations down the road, or you find some inconsistencies, you can always refer back to that one and copy and paste the exact same information into this new form. That way you're always sure that you're going to have the same spelling. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned before the multiple locations I had. Something as simple as the word road being spelled out, R-O-A-D, I found out that I have more RDs, so I've changed it, and in our address, which is Peterson Road, we put RD on all of these. So having that, because I might one day have an employee sit down and put that information in, so we're all grabbing from the same document. And I think it's been beneficial, and I think it would help everybody if you're not trying to remember what you said or what you typeset in a citation 3 weeks ago or yesterday.
Thank you, Paul. We have a few more comments here. First off, Tim Hughes, he said Tim Hughes here from Inner Security. He was here. He was with us last week, so thank you for joining us. But he also said that he's got to go. He's got a 1 p.m. fire alarm webinar that he's either running or attending as well. So he's just traveling the webinar circuit. So thank you, Tim, for joining us. We really appreciate you. He said He enjoys our webinar and is amazed at all the technical background work we do. So thank you so much, Tim, for that compliment. Pat, I know, Robin, you were taking a look at the Google My Business here, but Pat made an interesting comment here saying that, well, first off, I need a new website help, but she also said, I tried to change the category yesterday, but it wasn't changed this morning. Maybe it changed now. So that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah,
Robin,
it's usually a 3-day wait. It could take up to 7 days as well. And if you have any issues with your filling out this Google page, what you can do is there's a little help line, and you can actually call Google. A lot of people don't know that. But once you're signed in, it'll ask you what's the email you use to make this account, and I think it's right. Yeah, it's one of these buttons up here. It's really clear when you're logged in because it says contact us, and so you can do it by email or you can do it by phone, and they will help you and guide you through how to fill out your Google page.
fantastic. Robin, would you mind pulling up the website here? I want Paul to share some of his expertise on the human side of SEO, which
What
is
website?
the one that you have behind there, the window you
Oh,
have behind,
okay.
and just maximize that to screen. So Pat said, I need a new website help. So first off, we talk about the human side of SEO and the technical side of SEO. And the reason we talk about those two different sides, excuse me, is it's great if you get a whole bunch of traffic to your website, you're getting found and people are coming to your website, but if they don't get the right impression about who you are and what you're about, and they don't feel like they don't feel from the website that you're the right fit for them, or they don't feel the right thing, then they're not going to contact you. You are hitting some of the different markers with having your address and phone number up in the upper right. It's amazing to me how many people don't have that. They want phone calls, but they don't have their phone number up in the header of their website. It's just kind of crazy. But so it's good that you have that. But I'm going to let Paul, and he's got a lot of expertise in the graphics and printing area, which a lot of those concepts are really key to really compelling someone to want to contact you. So, Paul, do you want to go ahead and take a look at this and share with us your opinion?
Sure, sure. Well, first off, and please don't be offended, it looks like an old site. It looks like a site that's been around for a while. Secondly, Lake Homes Unlimited. I understand the pictures of the lakes. However, I'd like to see a visual of possibly a home. Now, you don't want to focus on one house simply because you may give the wrong impression. But when I'm looking at this, I have to put my glasses on, and I don't typically wear glasses. You want this home page when you first look at it to give your name, and the visual image that you leave with the visitor is one that should basically tell it is what you do. Lake Homes Unlimited is a pretty straightforward name, but your imaging in there, I would rather see one photograph or maybe a fade in, fade out of a couple of different homes on lakefront property. I'm mostly seeing water and a tree in this one. You've got a photograph down here that's got a pier coming out. That's probably better than the three up at the top. But having them all spaced out like that in this copy is very difficult to follow. When I say difficult to follow, the home page should be a quick hit. Probably 2 to 3 seconds, you should be able to know exactly what it is that you're selling or providing or your service. The content is fine. I don't see a problem with it. But for the most part, it's not visually attractive. I don't know if the colors necessarily, I don't necessarily like when people integrate a variety of colors. You've got yellow, blue, red, you've got black in there. I'd like to see all your small copy stay in black and be in a sans serif font. Sans serif, if you don't know the difference between serif and sans serif, it's Times Roman is a serif font. It's easier to read. Take the important stuff and play that up. As I said, I haven't read through the whole thing, but your waterfront specialists, luxury residential, it seems like you're giving more emphasis to the waterfront specialist than the luxury residential home sales. I don't mind you breaking in the bars like that, but there's too much going on this home page. you've got your eyes are kind of bouncing all over the place. But what's more distracting is that those 3 images up at the top. Um, uh, I don't think your content is bad. I don't think you need to have this much of it on your home page. If there's something of interest, they're going to stay on and click and then move on to some of the other things like the knowledge is power. Are those links, Paul? Can you click on those?
Yes, you can. Robin's controlling that screen, so anything you would like her to do, just mention where you'd like her to go.
Click on knowledge is power, Robin. It's the second paragraph down.
No, it's not clickable.
Okay, so right away I'm looking at that, and because it's in a different color, it's telling me I can click on this thing and go to another page. I don't like underscoring or underlining copy. Do one or the other. Underline it or put it in a different color if you want to put emphasis on it. For the most part, I mean it's a fine website. I don't mean to say it's a bad website, but visually it's not attractive. It's not telling me who you are immediately, and it really does look dated. So this is Pat, right? I'm talking to.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Pat, I think the main thing is getting a really good quality image that from a I don't know how to convey this in a.
Well, I get some visuals, Paul. While you were talking, I went out on the internet. I was surprised how many sites don't represent exactly what you're talking about, but I did weed through some, and I found some good examples that kind of have exactly what you're talking about. So Robin's going to open up these 3 sites, and we can kind of hop through them, and you can kind of illustrate with these sites what you're talking about here. So here's the 3rd one.
And what's important, Pat, too, is if I just saw a mansion. If your home sites in Northern Lake County aren't $16 million mansions, well then don't put a picture on that of that. But it really is important, and the quality of the image I think is probably the key thing to go for. It's more and more in the print industry, and with the use of people with their handheld phones, and they take pictures. They give them to us. They look great on their phone. When we put them in print or we put them on the internet, they're dark or they're light or they're blurry, and believe me, it really makes a difference. These sites that Robin is showing me right now are much more visually appealing than those small inset boxes that you had on your site of just water. I want to see a home in there. Now, that's a great shot right there. You've got the property and you've got this beautiful view. That makes me, because if you're selling lakefront property, the key to buying lakefront property, the person that's there, is they want to be able to look out on the lake. So yes, you need to have water in it, but you should have a little bit more of that property in there that says, hey, this is your view from my balcony, or this is the view from, I'm sitting out on a lawn chair. And that's going to make them want to then go further into your site. And when I mentioned before about having multiple shots, I don't mind you having those 4 images on your site. That's a good thing to have. But rather than have small 3 or 4 or 5 small images, have one that does basically what Robin is doing right now. She's filtering through these different, a fade in, fade out that's showing. So the guy that maybe doesn't like this viewing, the next one is he can picture himself in that location or that locale. So the quality of the image really is important. Even if you have to go to the point of, I don't want to say hiring a professional photographer, but you know what? It's worth it, because this is the first impression they're getting when they come onto your site. And that says all. If they don't like what they're seeing, they're clicking off and they're moving on to somebody else.
Yeah, and as an alternative, you can also use stock photography.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about stock photography, you got to make sure it's royalty free.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Robin?
Definitely. Otherwise, you will get some letters in the mail.
We've run into issues where people have taken things off the internet and asked us to either reproduce it in print or on the internet, only to have them, I believe they're called spiders, people that search websites for copywritten images, and then you get a letter, and the next thing you know, you're going to get an invoice, and you're asked to take that down. So make sure that the photography that you use is in fact royalty free. And if you've ever needed a source like that, I think Paul Awesome Dynamics can recommend sources as well as, and I'm happy to do so as well. But doesn't mean that you can't take a good photograph and utilize that as well if you want to save yourself some money. Take multiple shots.
The other thing I wanted to make mention here is, these sites look extremely high-end, but when I look at it, the structure is extremely simple. I mean, you have, like this one, for example. It's got a white bar with some navigational items at the top with the logo on the left. We got a gray bar that says Lake Como's, don't know what that word is, International Realty. And then we have a giant picture. So the structure of the site really isn't that complicated, but it feels really high-end because the picture and the quality of that photography is so high, which you can get from the, from the, what was I going to say, the photography itself. So take a look at the second tab. Robin, would you mind heading over to that second tab there?
Oh.
Yeah, second tab you got open here. So this is, it looks like, okay, this is another division of maybe the same company. But again, not very complicated structure of the site. It's very simple. And then go ahead and click that third one, Robin. And then here, again, just a couple blue bars. One's darker, one's lighter. And, what I like about this one is the picture isn't so large, and I can see there's more to do underneath this picture. And Paul and I have kind of talked about that kind of a presentation a little bit because, Paul, I want to hear you explain it from your perspective. We always talk about above-the-fold content. So go ahead and tell me your perspective on that.
Wait, I'm sorry, Paul. I didn't quite hear you on that. What was that?
So just see how the height of this picture isn't as high as some of the other pictures, and we can kind of see a little bit of the content underneath. The importance of above-the-fold content.
This is ideal, Pat. As a matter of fact, this does everything I was kind of talking about. It's got your name. It's showing these pictures. They're kind of fading in, fading out. You don't need to dominate the entire screen. I like the fact that below this photograph here, you've got a hint of other things. Sometimes I've seen a lot of sites now where the main photograph dominates the entire home page. You want to, I don't want to say tease them. You want to give the visitor the opportunity to see a little bit more than just the picture and your name at the top. But this is nice and clean. You've got your logo and information, contact information at the top. Your navigation is nice and clean. Does it highlight if you mouse over it, Paul? Featured listings or Robin?
Let's see, Robin. If you hover
lower navigation, right? So. And then you've got these images. You've got multiple images kind of telling the story. Also with the type on there, you had, Pat, on yours, that's those paragraphs of type. Most people aren't going to read all of that. If they're not visually attracted, the pride that shows, that, as I said before, you've got a lot of copy on there, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary to tell the story. This one tells the story very, very simplistically, and down below that main photograph, you've got enough that this visitor might want to scroll down a little bit more to see what's there. If they just saw the whole picture, they may not know what lies below it, and they may move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And Robin's kind of demonstrating. Yeah, the other ones, they offer the scrolling, but you didn't really the picture is so big you couldn't even tell that there was anything to.
I'd like to see the picture take up about a half of the page, the main photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And still leave enough that there's other things that allow you. There's also I like the little arrows on the side because you don't have to sit through this slow motion. Does this one just click on the individual photograph over on the right, Robin, bottom right hand corner on the image?
There's the
arrow buttons, right? The forward and reverse.
What Robin was just trying to demonstrate is look how it stays proportional on the mobile view. So she's taking the browser and kind of reducing the size, and you can see that even on the mobile view, if this is a smartphone, the picture is not dominating the entire tiny screen. We can still see there's something to scroll down to. That's excellent. So Pat, you got some different ideas of how you can improve your site. Let's see, Terry. Can you share anything about your conversation with Pat about what she was looking to do?
Well, I know she knew going in, and I think we've demonstrated very well for her that she's needs a new website, and we're going to get on with the phone with her after this and discuss how we can go ahead and help her and implement some of the things we just talked about. So she's anxious to get to work on it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we got about 10 minutes left of this presentation of this webinar. If there's anybody else that would like to ask any specific questions, we'd love to answer those. Pat, you can continue to ask us questions too if you have any specific questions. We'd love to hear those from you. In the interim, Paul, did you want to share with us any? Oh, you know what? Let's take a look. I want to go back to her site, Robin. Could you go back to her site for a moment? The other thing that really kind of I think makes a big difference is how far the copy goes across the page. Can you explain why having, Paul, from your perspective, I have my own description of why that's important to change. Can you describe why it's important to have it in columns, smaller columns, than having it go all the way
most
across?
people don't read. Your eyes don't. This is even in print literature. Take a look at any book. You typically put it in columns. It's easier on the eyes to read. This stretching across too. As I said before, the text, the amount of text that you have right here is good, but I don't want to read it, and I simply don't want to read it because the fact that it's small, it's bold. Everything is bold. I don't know where to grab my attention to. Keep it clean, keep it simple. Doesn't mean that you want to eliminate text, but I think that you can. Typesetting is an art, and it used to be. People just throw text now on anything and think people are going to read it. The reason it was an art is because you want it to be visually appealing, just like a photograph. So the way you treat text and putting in columns. Now, Paul, you can speak on it on behalf of the website, but from a graphic point of view and a visual point of view, column text is much easier to read. I also think flush left text is probably the best route, but there are benefits to justifying if you know what justification means, where it's centered copy. Other than that, I'm better at visually presenting something on paper than I am explaining it. But for the most part, the stretching out of the type here can you go to another page? I want to see
Sure.
it.
Robin, or another page on the site. There you go.
Yeah, see these long columns. Can you go to another and two, Robin? Are there any more text pages?
The buy and sell. Here we go.
All right, stop right there. Look at the bullet points. There you have. Okay, there you have centered copy. My eyes are all over the place. If you're going to put in bullet points, then definitely keep it justified left, because boom, 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 like you're stating points. Kind of like the type below it. That's much easier to read.
That's a good point. Pat had made an interesting comment in the questionnaire here I'd like to address, because she said, I've lost my market share due to website and no SEO. What Google, Robin, I just called you Google, by the way. Robin, could you Google, let me see, just Lake Homes. That's it. Just type in Lake Homes.
All right.
And for me, Pat's website actually came up. I'm on page.
Do you want to do your screen?
Yeah, maybe I should, huh? Let me come back here, start presenting. Paul, present to everyone. And let me switch screens to here. All right. And Blake, let me know if it's not showing my screen. But I just Googled Lake Homes. I just typed in Lake and Homes, and I hit search. And I saw, let's see. Yeah, look at this. So I just searched Lake Homes, and I found that you're the 1, 2, 3rd organic result, which is, I'd say, pretty good for not having having a lot of, concentrating on SEO, etc. The fact that you're coming out 3rd could mean, if you threw analytics on your site, you could be having a ton of traffic coming to your website. So maybe you're getting all this traffic to your website, but because of the way your website presents, you're not getting the number of leads that you expect. So just to tell you what the click-through ratio is on something like this, typically, statistically speaking, the first result here, so this is underneath the ads, the first result has a 42% click-through ratio. The second result has a 12% click-through ratio. And the third result drops down to 8, and then we go to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the fact that you're right here, you're actually what I call striking distance to getting a ton more traffic if you spent a little time optimizing, maybe getting that local listing, getting all those different factors that Robin was showing on our screen for the local listing. You could potentially take out this lakehomes.com because it's not that far away.
I like that striking distance like a snake.
That's right. Just knock them out. So, and the one thing is, once we knock out that first result, then the next thing we like to do is push everybody else off the page. And that's where that citation can, the citations can really help out. Robin, go ahead and just search rubber rollers.
Hey, Paul, one quick
Sure.
thing before you do that. See those 4 images I'm seeing
Yes.
back on that page? How did those 4? Why are those 4 there? I don't know if any of those are Pat's.
Well,
How did they come to be to have those images?
okay, so this is when someone searches something, you can see that Google is providing these ads. First of all, you can see the page has changed a little bit from last time. I just hit search again, and you can see that this version has 1 ad, and when I hit search again, it went down to 2. Those change based on how many people are paying for them and how much money they have left to their AdWords account. And just so you know, the ads only account for 30% of the clicks. The other 70% is in this organic area. So then next down, we have an organic result, which is this. We don't see any local results, which is when you see the little map and push points, push pins. But then we get to the part here where Paul is talking about, where it shows this is part of what they call the knowledge graph. It can show up on the right, it can show up in the area here, but Google has determined by the millions of people, probably billions of people searching different words, that a certain portion of them, a certain percentage of them, are actually looking for pictures. So because that's the fact, because maybe people were searching this lake homes and they clicked on images right away just to look for images, maybe they're trying to get ideas or whatever, but because they have this data, they're producing this this little images for lake homes piece right away, and these are the ones that are probably most popular based on how many people have clicked on those different images.
Now you're on an image for rubber roller page, right?
Are we showing? Oh, we're showing Rob.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
what I was getting.
my screen. Okay, so let me see. Let me try and present my screen again.
That's right. I'm not trying to
No, that's fine.
confuse you. I was looking at rubber rollers, and you were talking about
Lake homes.
lake homes.
All right. There we go.
Nice.
You see it?
Yep.
Good. Good. So we can see that it's showing these different lake homes. This is if I click images here, it shows me the different things that show up, etc.
Okay.
So we can see what Google's producing here. Now, rubber rollers. I wanted to make an example because show an example. Rollers. So a client of ours, which happens to be the first one in the results here, of course, Mengus Roller Company. They are doing organic SEO with us, the consulting model, and you can see that they're showing up here. And you can also see that this is one of their competitors, American Roller. And then, let me see, usually they have other things showing up. Here's another page on their site, so Mengus Roller, there's another page on their site that's showing up. For some of these different things, some of their YouTube videos actually take up the different spots here in the search results. So I'm going to try heat transfer rollers. See if anything comes up. Yeah. So here's another example. The Mengus Roller website comes up, and we can see down here we have a video that is theirs, Mengus Roller Company, and another video. So they're essentially taking up 3 spots just on this page for this particular key term. So that's amazing because what happens is the people who aren't on who aren't on the home page, they've been moved down to the second page because they're dominating the first page. Does that make sense, Paul?
Oh yeah.
So as you do citations and you just connect more and more stuff to your website and your Google listing in the right way, you'll begin to push your competitors off the page, which is really, really cool. Wanted to wrap it up here. We only have 1 minute left. So wanted to mention that if you enjoyed this broadcast and you got some meaningful value out of this, we would ask that you go to awesomedynamic.com, and at the bottom of the page, you'll see a Review Us button. It looks just like this right here. So you click on this Review Us button. It'll bring you to our Google My Business listing here, and go ahead and click 5 stars and tell us that you enjoyed the information that we shared with you today. We'd really appreciate that.
Or you can go on your phone.
Yes, you can do it in your phone. Go to the Google Maps app and find us there. But yeah, we'd really appreciate that for delivering this value to you. You can also do the same thing for Fiorelli Graphics. If you thought Paul's content was very valuable, he's got the same Review Us button here. You can click on that. I'll bring you right to the page where you can.
That needs work.
What's that?
This page needs work.
Yes, it does, and we're gonna get to you with that. So, and I think this is the duplicate issue that we're see how the review thing didn't drop down. So I think that this is the part of the problem we need to solve for you with the Google listing. But anyway, Paul would appreciate a 5-star review as well for his critique. So. Pat made one last comment, and Pat, you can come back to us next week at 3 o'clock. But you said, but when you search for Lake Holmes, Illinois, I come up on the second page. That's something we can definitely help you with. So, Terry, you mind reaching out to Pat and see if she's interested in engaging with us to help her out with some of this stuff?
I sure will.
Okay, fantastic. And again, on our website, awesomedynamic.com, we got our webinars posted here. All the times and dates are right there. You can watch this webinar, the past webinar right here. Any review parties we're doing to learn how to get reviews from your happy customers. Next one's February 17th at 2 o'clock. And if you want to get our mailing list, you can sign up for the Awesome list right here. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything, anybody?
I think you're good.
All right. Thank you for joining us again. This is Awesome Dynamic Tech Solutions, and we hope you have a fantastic day.